Hello and welcome to this best of 3 series between Attackspeedenjoyer and Enticity in Warhammer League 3. Be sure to like and subscribe for more games and let's get into it. So this is technically round 2 for them. And yeah, let's see how this goes. This is quite an interesting matchup, especially with the factions that they have selected. So we have High Elves against Norsca today. And when it comes to the army that Ant has brought, it is a Norscan kiting army, which again makes sense when it comes to his playstyle, especially when going into a line map. It kind of does make sense that you would want to generally play some mobility, though it is not as common as I would expect into stuff like High Elves, because High Elves have incredibly long-ranged units, with the basic archer just being, I believe, like 140 range or 160 range. So that just means that stuff like horsemen and horsemasters isn't usually the way you play it, because you're very susceptible to just being shot at, right? And it is a mass amount of horsemasters plus the riders of the mighty serpent, as well as the worm, the dreadmaw. So the dreadmaw is there to stop any type of shooting, and the other units are there to basically skirmish, trade, and then depending on the opponent's army, just kill stuff. And it does seem like he did expect the new style of High Elves, which is like Caradrin and maybe Oceanids and stuff like that. So these guys would do amazing into them, especially with a triple Skinwolf starter. That's crazy. Going triple Skinwolf, you expect a bunch of mobility and a bunch of big stuff. So he expected probably an elite army, but not the army that he that he got versus in this matchup. We also have Sail with Windblast, Enfeebling Foe, and Backstabbing Sorcery, alongside Rolling Skies and Smoke and Mirrors. So Rolling Skies, again, expecting something that flies, so that when you Enfeebling Foe or just cast Windblast, you basically debuff them massively so that you can win. And then Smoke and Mirrors just for the mobility support game. And when we see the army of Attackspeedenjoyer, we actually see a couple of Shadow Walkers. So quad Shadow Walker to do a kiting style into this build. So the thing is, if attack speed, and yeah, besides this, we see a Dragon Prince and two, a double Dragon Prince and an Illyrian Reaver along a Chariot, and a High Mage of Light, specifically with Shems and Net. So, by the way, just so you know, that this bullshit doesn't work on Dreadmaw. So if you actually net a Dreadmaw, it does nothing to it. It can still burrow. Absolute bullshit. But net is amazing into stuff like the Horsemen and the Horsemasters, because if he catches them off guard, in one volley, they can basically insta-die here, right? And Dreadmaw is just going to be annoying to the Shadow Walkers. So the Shadow Walker army is good, but not good into specifically a classic Bearman style play, right? If Ant went for a Bearman style army, oh, this is very risky. If he gets netted here, he can just insta-die. Oh, he used Nullstone here too to stop the rest of the magic casting, but he doesn't have any spells, so that was kind of a waste of a Nullstone, honestly. So if he actually got the net here, oh no, that Nullstone is actually turning around onto Attackspeedenjoyer in this instance, because he can't cast any spells either, I believe, right, with the High Mage of Life. So this is actually a counter to himself right now, because he cannot defend himself, and Ant is taking advantage of it fully. He can't defend himself with a net cast, because he just silenced himself, unfortunately, and it just wore out. And let's see if there is like a counter spell that goes out, because he should definitely be netting something here and then reshooting them with Shadow Walkers and stuff, right? So when it comes to the charge from the Skinwolves went in a bit too deep potentially, and are being charged by Dragon Princes. Dragon Princes, unlike the Fireborn, don't have magic or fire damage, so the Skinwolves will actually do totally fine into them. And this is turning out to be a proper scrap here. There's the net finally stopping the reinforcing Skinwolves basically from getting out of it. And man, Chariots hitting into stuff like the Riders of the Mighty Serpent is crazy, that they are actually still alive and not just tabled by a skin wolf or something. Yeah, attack speed definitely needs to just reconsolidate everything, charge these reavers into the skin wolves potentially, and then full focus fire one of the skin wolves to die, right? You don't want these guys coming back, because if they have half the models, they can just regen massively here. Nice shatter onto the skin wolves, and also another shatter onto the other skin wolves. He basically got through with the dragon princes to stop the horse masters from being shot at. His main problem now will be the skin wolves, but Ant does have a very good position into recollapsing, especially on these dragon princes here, right? Because these guys are fully unsupported, just in enemy terrain, very close to the enemy spawn and the vanguard points, so this can get very dicey very quickly. We see a charge from the Lionheart Chariot into the skin wolves. It actually deals a lot of damage alongside these dragon princes, man. Dragon princes on the charge are probably one of the better cav units that can do this. But look at this, very nice surround from Ant's side. He just surrounds with every single unit that he has alongside Fimir warriors to apply the sundered and the magic damage bonuses. The worm honestly isn't doing too much here, right? The Nullstone still has 2 more charges, so if anyhow basically attack speed can support his unit here, Dragon Princes, and this is just a bait, right? This is just 4 units being stuck here, and the most of the actual model is outside of the range of everything here, so they're totally fine just recharging into the Riders of the Mighty Serpent and potentially these Norscan Warhounds and just fighting them off, honestly. Because they have insane leadership at 85, plus 15 from charging. Even with so many things just targeting them, they're still totally fine. But Ant is doing a nice thing, and he is not still not too fully pressured when it comes to objective points, right? He's in the lead with 500. So he can have time to just kill the unit in his backline, shatter it, and then reconsolidate most of his forces into another fight and charge. He also summoned the Mist Stalkers. Oh, interesting. They actually have stalk, right? They're stalkers, right? And we see the little cool mist around them, right? But the problem is they are bonus versus infantry. Even though they're totally fine fighters, they're going to be quite difficult to keep alive, even with their 50% missile resistance. They're going to be difficult to keep alive versus like a full volley of Shadow Walkers. If he had like a net for them on that side, this would be they could be focused down. But what we do see from the side of attack speed is he's kind of running out of ammo. So he's 50% down, and they're both now reconsolidating their forces. Though, man, these guys are gonna be the main carry pieces of this game if it turns into that. There is nothing that can stop a Fireborn unit on the side of Ant's army currently, except for the Maws of Savagery. This is a very good pick from the side of Ant. Why? Because these skin wolves, unlike the other normal skin wolves, actually have armor piercing, right? That's why they're more expensive. They definitely shouldn't be 400 more expensive, or even what is it, like 550 more expensive compared to the normal skin wolves, just for getting freaking armor piercing. And yeah, that is just too much for like the normal skin wolf unit. They really should change that. But it is still a very good pick from the side of Ant. Why? Because when the Fireborn unit charges into something here, let's say the Fimir or like the Norscan Ice Wolves or the Warhounds, etc., they can then countercharge the Fireborn unit or the other Dragon Prince unit and actually do some damage to them. Because again, they have full armor piercing basically, or at least 2/3 armor piercing. It's still quite a skirmish scrap here. If Sail dies, man, Ent is playing so aggressively and ballsy with Sail. If I were just on the side of attack speed, I would honestly just do a area of effect net onto Sail and like a skin wolf, and then focus down Sail, because without Sail, these guys are 60 leadership, man. Like, they're gonna just crack under pressure with, and we actually do see the XP focusing Sail a bit, and also charging the Dragon Princes into the cab. So this is a let's analyze this. So this is a difficult play to make and to see if it's worth it. So both of the opponents are basically going for their opponent's skirmish line. So attack speed is sacking a dragon prince basically and the lion chariot for the opportunity to clear out a skinwolf and potentially a Fimir. It will seem like an even trade, but these guys were full HP at the start. So Ant actually losing these two units and potentially not being... Oh no, he's not careful about Sail. Sail 36 HP gets focused. He's gonna shatter and or die dead. Oh no, that is quite a misplay from Ant's side. Also nice shems into basically a blob here. Oh no, that can really hurt Ant when it comes to the rest of the game, because now these units that even have 80 leadership are just going to be countercharged by stuff like Illyrian Reavers and then shot at, and even though before they would not break, there is a high potential here for them breaking. Even the worm might break here. Oh no, it's 5 leadership. It does go underground and does stabilize here because it was focused. But look at this. The Dragon Princes literally just clear out the Mist Stalkers without a second thought. And this is another Dragon Prince that just goes into the Marauder Horseman. This is so unfortunate for Ant in losing Sail. Because if he didn't lose Sail, this would still be a relatively even game, even-ish game, that could go both ways when it comes to the points, especially in how they play it. But there is still the advent of attack speed potentially losing ammo and then having to unsummon, and then it really does depend what he has left to summon. Mist Mage summoning in an Oceanid unit to basically hold the Skinwolves and the Fimirs in place and to buffer for the Fireborn. Oh, that is such a good play here, because if the Fireborn were the only things that take damage here, they would actually just be like 30% HP right now. But with the summon of the Oceanids to soak up some attacks from them, it is such a good play from the side of attack speed. Man, he is really well performing in this. And also does lose the worm. I believe it was right there. I just needed to double check around the map. And now it's basically the Maws of Savagery against the world. And on a straight up charge against the Fireborn, look at the damage. Let's 50%, 60% damage just from a charge from the Fireborn. They didn't countercharge, they break. Oh no, there's another Skinwolf in there, but there's still the ocean that just chilling in the mid. And these Fireborn are not going to get away with this, right? Because they are getting chased by Norscan Ice Wolves and Skinwolves. So what attack speed needs to do is basically peel for them to get a recharge. So get this unit of Illyrian Reavers in there and then just recharge with them. Oh, we actually see a Moondragon coming in. Goddamn, late game summon of a Moondragon is crazy. He's gonna get a breath here or something, right? Going directly into the Marauder Horseman in a bit, I think. And there's another Oceanid summon, and there's the breath going directly into the Horseman and the Skinwolves. Wow. So the dragon being here, now an extra terror piece that is on the field to stop Ent from doing anything is probably going to be the nail in his coffin. He does resummon Sail, but spending around 1,000 resources onto Sail with the late game coming in is such a difficult choice to make. Attack speed should definitely unsummon these Dragon Princes. They have 10 units left. They can potentially like do a charge, maybe like sack them into these Skinwolves just to do some more damage with them before you unsummon them. Also do the same with these Illyrian Reavers so that he should do some housekeeping. And yeah, on the other side, even the Maws of Savagery are super afraid of the Moondragon. The Moondragon coming down and just going to Claptown is gonna be so difficult to deal with. And now we also have Rangers. Rangers, great later game summon, because Skinwolves don't deal well with just normal infantry, right? Even with the charge, very nice like brace. He just was clapping his backspace key there to stop the units from moving to potentially just mini brace. And what is this? Is this some magic that's being done, or is that just the nullstone? Oh, that's the animation of the nullstone. I never really looked at it too much. But man, is Ant good or what when it comes to these charges and cycle charges here, right? He just goes in, gets 60% off a unit, and then goes back. Though on the other side of the map, it's still a double cap situation, and it's so difficult for Ant to do anything about it here because this Norscan, where's the unit card of this Norscan Ice Wolf? What is happening here? Oh, there it is. Okay, so this one poor wolf is like named the leader of the squad, and then everybody else is just in the forest next to him, and he's like, no, I'm still alive in here, please look at me. But yeah, Maws of Savagery, fighting in the bushes is smart because they have Strider. So they're not going to suffer from terrain bonuses that usually the normal units do. Look at that, -9 from terrain is a big deal. And on the other side of the map, attack speed is kind of getting a bit stretched out. He definitely should not be fighting over here because summoning in units when he's ahead on a double cap, currently a triple cap, right? He should just reconsolidate to the middle objective and not be picked off. He's playing into Ent's strength right now with just being led around by like a Norsca Ice Wolf. Look at this. Like Norsca Ice Wolf, he does notice it, but there's nothing that he can do about it. And currently he does have the overwhelming advantage, the overwhelming odds basically from it. So it is kind of fine. But if this were just a little bit of a closer game and Ant had, let's say, another Skin Wolf and another Warhound or something, he could have potentially picked off the stragglers from attack speed side. So very well played. What a great game, man. What a close scrap and an amazing game in both micro and macro decisions in here. So let's check out some value. Yeah, Mage Blight just casted a couple of nets, basically nothing except the nets here. Shadow Walkers, all of them paid for themselves. Very nice to see. Even the Lion Chariots of Grace did very well here, which is surprising because it was a chariot charging into horsemen for most of the game. Horsemen and skin wolves of all things. There was literally no, oh my god, there's not a single infantry unit in Ent's army in here. That is so wacky to see. And look at those dragon princes. That is 2 summons, but both of them paid for themselves twice over with the 2 summons. So each life actually paid for itself. That is crazy to see. And then just a couple of Rangers. Rangers are generally fine into stuff like Bearmen because they do excel at killing unarmored infantry. The only misplay that I would say from the side of attack speed was that one nullstone at the start that kind of screwed him over in not being able to defend himself with a net there, right? And the Reavers basically doing what they needed. And yeah, very nice life from the Dragon Princess, clearing out that Mist Stalker unit, as well as a bunch of other skin wolves. The Maws of Savagery basically ate the charge and just about died. Sail, just casting Wind Blasts, nothing too special. A classic end style army that all of the skirmishers pay for themselves. Even Dreadmaw got 1000 value, so that means like it got 1.5k at least, which is great value to see on a Dreadmaw. Oh no, look at that. One Skin Wolf absolutely clapped, and then the other 2 basically did nothing. What about the third one? Third one did fine. Oh no, look at the Femir. That is so unfortunate. He basically, if he brought the anti-large Femir, this could have potentially went the other way, because the anti-large Femir are such good fighters into stuff like Cab, and they just eat a charge like nobody's business. Also, Maws of Savagery basically not really paying for themselves, but doing fine. There was an extra Skin Wolf. Man, what a crazy army. Very well played to both players, and I'll see you guys in game 2. Be sure to like and subscribe for the rest of the series.